All right, what are we going to talk about in today's video, Jen?
What is off-grid?
So the best way for us to talk about what is off-grid is to kind of go through our process that we have gone through over the last 6 years. Along the way, we'll show you the different levels of what people consider off-grid. Off-grid means different things to different people.
Off-grid in the dictionary means you are not connected to any public utilities, especially electricity. We have 0 public utilities here.
Yep. No public water, no electricity, no sewer, and no gas. It has been a lengthy process of figuring things out, and we're still in that process, right?
Yep, we get better each year and improve things.
If we can, we'll take a minute here and show you where we started off-grid, and we'll kind of talk about why we did what we did and how we ended up off-grid.
Mm-hmm.
So was your dream to be off-grid?
I don't know. I wasn't ever planning on it, but just kind of happened that way.
And why did it happen that way?
Because that's the properties we found were the best priced, and we just kind of made it work.
Yeah, we fell into it. We knew we wanted to have a property that was out in the woods. Jen and I do a lot of outdoorsy stuff, and all the properties we looked at in nice areas that were larger properties that were near public utilities like electrical and had maintained roads and such like that were pretty expensive, right?
Yes.
So off-grid opened up a lot of opportunities to us. We could get farther away from everything, and in turn, prices of property dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give you a quick show here, and I'll do some inserts and show you our first dive into off-grid living.
All right, so here, this is our first 5 acres that we had, and we cleared a bunch of trees. That way we could have a camper down here, and the shed you see back there, and the bathhouse. So we had both of those.
We built the bathhouse.
We built the bathhouse, so we had facilities, and we brought the shed in to give us storage, and we cleared this area and slept in a camper for the first year.
Camping area, fire pit. We had a 30-foot camper here originally that we bought for $600, and that's what we stayed in while we developed this property, right? For the first couple years. Now we just have a camper here for guests or for taking on our adventures if we decide to go away from our area and adventure, right?
Yes.
So the reason we're showing you all this is off-grid has so many different levels of meaning to different people. Off-grid can mean you take nothing with you out into the woods and nothing but what's on your back or in your hands or whatever you decide to take with you, and you build shelter from scratch. You could be as primitive as you like, right?
Yes.
You can suffer. You can see that as an opportunity to leave everything behind if you'd like.
Yep. But we skipped those couple steps.
Yeah, to us, off-grid wasn't that. We did not want to be uncomfortable, live a primitive bushcraft style of life, right?
Right.
So again, like Jen said, first thing we did at this property was build us a little bathhouse. So when we got done with a long day of work of cutting trees, cleaning up, grading, and working here around the property, we had somewhere to clean up, right? Mm-hmm. Kudos to those people who want to be really hardcore. We like to use our resources to our best ability, and that to us means using modern technology. We are simply off-grid, and we don't have utilities.
Yep.
We use technology to our advantage, yes?
Yep. And for this bathhouse, we had a solar panel and 1 battery that ran the pumps for showering, and we went to the river to collect water. So again, 0 connection to the public utilities because we were using river water and the sun.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful time in our lives, right?
Yep.
And we used this area of the property for the first 1.5 years, right?
Yep. And even with the camper, we just used batteries to run on the camper, and then we would just charge them with the generator when we needed to.
Yeah. We didn't get into solar in a more elaborate way until our second year here. We realized that we weren't going to get utilities. We didn't really want utilities. We didn't want the bills or the
Right.
hassle that come with utilities.
Mm-hmm.
We're about a mile from the closest power line, so we never even got a quote. Other people we've talked to in this area of northern Michigan that have gone from off-grid to on-grid, tens of thousands of dollars to run lines miles into the woods. So tens of thousands of dollars wasn't something we were interested in doing.
Nope.
Or spending.
Because we've been doing this all debt-free. So.
And we didn't have the money to do that. So we built this property and went off-grid in a sense that we wanted to live a more simple lifestyle, but at the same time, we didn't have the resources to do anything fancy. We couldn't have went and bought $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 property, or even $100,000, even a $50,000 property. This first piece of property cost us $6,500. So $6,500 opened up our opportunities to go off grid. And off grid, a lot of people say they want to go off grid, but they can't afford it. Well, still to this day, I see properties posted all the time for 1 or 2 acres for $6,000 to $10,000, and that's because they're out in the middle of the woods.
Yep.
And that opens up opportunities. So when you say you can't do it and you can't afford it, yes, $5,000 to $10,000 for a piece of property isn't nothing, but it is reasonable. You could work really hard and make that money and start this adventure if you'd like. So we've determined for us that off-grid isn't suffering. It isn't living a bushcraft lifestyle in the woods with nothing but a backpack or fur cover, fur hides or fur coats and living off the land, right?
Yes.
We use the land for resources. We do it in a way that works for the modern world.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but we don't survive. We're not self-reliant. The more you get out into the world and realize if you're going to live a lifestyle like this, the more you realize that it's pretty much impossible to be self-reliant. Every time you're out here and you realize, oh, I need a screw. Oh, I need a hose for my tractor. And if you got rid of every single thing and you did everything by hand, you would still need a saw once in a while. Mm-hmm. You would need tools. You would need things to survive. And you could go as primitive as you want, but we have spent lots of money, lots of effort, and lots of time working around here. It's a hard job. And off-grid isn't as simple as most people want to believe it is, right?
Right. It's a lot of work to have the things you need.
Yep. And we could have very easily stayed in the rat race and lived a very simple life, and it would have been way cheaper and way simpler for us to do that. Mm-hmm. We both work hard. We both are good with the little bit of money we make, and we could have stayed in the city and just, coasted through life. But this lifestyle has created a challenge for us, and we enjoy it. So, enough about our particular story, but off-grid has different levels, right?
Yep. So like you said, we showed you, we talked about how we started in a camper. So that is one way you can be off-grid.
So let's go show you 2 or 3 other levels of off-grid, and let's see which way you would prefer.
Yep.
All right, so the next level of off-grid, or let's say the first level of off-grid, is just out in the woods, right? Yeah, like you see behind us, nothing. Just what's on your back. Now, the way that Jen prefers off-grid is right here. This is what she pictured as off-grid. This is what a lot of people imagine as off-grid, and this is why a lot of people, women especially, don't want to go off-grid. Would you want to sleep in that?
No.
Yeah. So.
But some people, that's
A-okay.
Want to do that, and that's okay for them.
But if you're trying to convince your wife, your spouse, your girlfriend, your significant other, your partner to go off-grid, don't show them this level of off-grid.
Yeah. Some people might try to do that just for like a weekend warrior, but the camper is a step up from this.
Yes. So
buy yourself a camper.
Yep. And don't scare everybody that you tell you're off-grid. This is when I told my family I was going to go off-grid. and we were going to have an off-grid property, this is what they imagine. This is what a lot of people imagine. So don't scare people like that.
Right.
So it's okay if you want to do that, but this is an example of what people imagine when you say off-grid. But anyway, guys, let's head up to our cabin. We'll show you why Jen agreed to live this off-grid lifestyle with me. Okay? All right, here's a step up from a camper, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is a really good example of what most people think of when they're talking off-grid. This is a small or mini or tiny cabin, 10 by 12 footprint. Pretty much anything you would need if you just wanted to be away from the rest of the world, right?
Yep. Being
comfortable, but not living in excess, right?
Yes.
Because a big part of off-grid is trying to simplify life, a little bit of minimalism, right? Mm-hmm. And just minimizing all your obligations and responsibilities to the world. And this would be a perfect situation for most people that want to go off-grid. I think there are challenges that this creates, but if you're looking for simple, here it is.
All right, guys, let's go check out our mini cabin here. And if you want to see the full build on this, be sure to check out the link over in the corner. You can see the whole build from start to finish.
And we tried to show everybody that anybody could build this, right?
Yep.
Are we expert carpenters?
No.
Is that what we did for a profession?
So, no. But so that's why this one's great, because if you're looking to go off-grid and you just need somewhere small to live, you can build this in 6 months' time or less and have somewhere to be warm and comfortable.
Yeah, let's
while
check.
You figure out the next steps.
So guys, we put a nice little porch on this cabin. Nice little covered porch, little 5-foot by 12-foot porch. We put a nice big lean-to over here because we have tasks that we need that for. But this is a little more than you might need. But I would say that would be a good choice for you if you're going to be off-grid.
Yes. This is our tiny cabin. As you can see, it's small. It's 10 by 12. Very minimalist inside. We got kitchen counters and a stove over there. We have a sofa pull-out bed here. Has somewhere to sleep at night, and then put it away so you have space during the day. This works great for some people, full-time off-grid or longer weekends and such. This one has electrical. It will have water. Right now in the wintertime, we don't have water in here because, well, it's northern Michigan. But we will have a rain collection system on the side of the cabin that will bring water into here. You have water, you have solar for your electrical, and for heat we have a diesel heater. So that's all, again, nothing connected to the grid.
What do we use for electric?
We use a power station right now in here. We might connect some solar to it this spring. But right now we're just using a power station. That's what a lot of weekend warriors do to get themselves situated and learning things. They buy themselves a power station and power everything with the power station.
As I said before, we started this journey 5-6 years ago, and we knew nothing about solar. We knew nothing about, not really much about electrical or off-grid really in general. Just living simple life and maybe camping, but not off-grid. You know, it wasn't necessarily off-grid. It was camping, right?
Right.
So a lot of people consider off-grid as no electricity. Like no electronic devices, no lights, no phones, no TVs, no nothing, right?
Which is a little extreme.
Yeah. You could use candlelight. You could go to sleep when it gets dark and wake up early. You could live by the light, live by the sunshine. You could do all kinds of different ways. You could cook by fire. You can have a wood stove. We've cooked on our wood stove many a times over the years. We do a little bit of everything, but we're not going to fight the modern technology and create
comforts with it and still be off-grid.
Yeah, we're not going to create extra challenges, because I promise you, living this lifestyle and building a homestead or building up a property that you can enjoy for the rest of your life, is not an easy task, even with all the added help from modern technology and equipment. We don't have a lot of money, so we don't have fancy equipment, but we do have a tractor. We do have side-by-side and a four-wheeler. This has helped us get around our property a lot. So I know a lot of people wouldn't even consider this off-grid because it has electricity. It doesn't have full-time electricity from the power company, but just having a battery storage or solar, people consider not off-grid. So to us, off-grid is not having utilities and providing for yourself, right?
Yep.
And we do that on all accords.
Yep, it's a self-reliant lifestyle.
Yep.
It's not always possible.
And I promise you, as soon as you get out here, you're going to realize I wear out twice as many jeans because I'm working all the time. I use up twice as many pairs of shoes because I'm beating them up. We go through gloves. We go through all these things that you can't make on your own. You're not going to build a homestead and kill an animal and build your own clothing, your own gloves. I mean, it's possible if you're surviving, but if you want to thrive, use
technology.
Things. Yes.
Use modern life to your advantage.
Yeah, because it's already hard enough doing it this way with that advantage, right? So, and again, I don't want to seem like we're high maintenance, but we've done this on a bit of a budget. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, but we have done it on way less than you would think. Yes. And we budget shop. I think a lot of people consider this as a nice, happy medium, right, for off-grid. Now, let's go to what Jen and I do for off-grid. What do we have here behind us?
This is a 16 by 24 cabin.
400 square feet. Has a nice loft and has a bedroom addition. So about 500 square feet total. Are we hooked up to the grid?
Nope, and we use solar to run everything.
And it provides all our needs, other than for a couple months of the year we use a gas generator to to supplement our solar system and our battery bank. We have tons of videos showing you stuff about that if you'd like to check those out, guys.
If you want to learn about solar, he's done a lot of great ones, and starting off with a super small, simple system, and we've slowly upgraded as he learns, and that's probably the best way anybody can do it. You don't have to jump in and go crazy. You can go simple.
Yep. I'm going to have Jen put a link in this video to the exact system we bought that we started with down at camp. Just one panel, one little charge controller, and you can buy a battery anywhere. Maybe we'll include that in the system that we include there, and you can go start solar. Doesn't have to cost tens of thousands of dollars, but you need to start small and start learning, right?
Yep. And the solar powers our whole cabin. We have refrigerator, laptops,
lights,
etc. So we have everything you might have in your modern home. The sun is supplying our energy for all of that,
which allows us to be off grid because we don't like living in the dark.
Yep.
And we don't like being unconnected to the world.
Right.
We like to be in contact with the world.
Yep. And that's another big misconception is if you have internet or cell phones, you are not off grid.
People confuse the sense that you have to be completely isolated, and they have the misconception that you have to be remote. We live 15 miles from town, so it's a 30-minute drive. We don't have to be off grid and live 2.5 hours from the city, right?
Yeah, we don't have to live in the middle of the woods and carry food in for 20 miles and do all this ridiculous struggles. You can be off grid in a neighborhood.
Yeah, we can drive right up to our front of our cabin here for 8 months out of the year. Now we have to ride the snowmobile in and out this time of year because
we live on an unmaintained road.
Back in the woods. We're about a little over a mile from a maintained road. Now, eventually I hope to, have a plow and have a tractor that can better take care of that. And maybe we could drive all the way to the cabin, but most likely we'll be able to drive to camp, and then we'll just deal with it from there, just for a few months of the year. It's not that big a deal. It makes it an adventure.
But off-grid just doesn't have to mean
Out of contact.
Out of contact or living in a remote location hours and hours away from anybody else.
We like people sometimes. Most of the time.
But that is
and we like our lives. We like our family. We like our friends. We like living a pretty normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Convincing, there's always people in the world that you want nothing to do with, but it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you just don't affiliate or associate with those people, and just live life. Do what makes you happy, and just, in my opinion, you want to live a little more simple, but you don't have to suffer.
Yes.
Suffering is silly. It's all glamorous and sounds like a nice fantasy that you're going to go live in a tiny little shack and buy your wood stove and read books all day. But, you could still do that, but you have lots to do when you're off-grid.
You can be comfortable.
Yeah, you could be comfortable and not disconnect yourself from the entire world.
Yes.
That's not off-grid to us. Yes. So behind us here, guys, you're going to see our solar system. This is huge upgrade compared to where we started, so don't get intimidated if you want to go off-grid and you want to try solar. If a dummy like me can figure it out, so can you. But this is something we built up to. We have 3,600 watts of solar panels and a good solar system in this shed. If you're interested in solar, check out our solar videos. That'll help you in the process of going off-grid. So let's go show our cabin just for a few minutes, guys. We'll show you that we're pretty comfortable inside. If you want to live very small and primitive, that's fine. But at some point, you want to expand a little bit, right?
Yes.
You always want to make things better and always want to improve. And you realize some of the shortcomings that come with off-grid and living in a shack.
Or a camper.
Or a camper. Campers are no fun. So living in a camper is almost like doing drywall. No one ever says it's fun. So let's head inside real quick, and we'll give you a real quick mini tour and show you how off-grid life can be in our eyes. All right, everybody, welcome to the inside of our mini cabin, our off-grid cabin. We are not lying when we say welcome to off-grid with Jay and Jen, right?
Right.
Some people would say we're not off-grid with Jay and Jen.
Because we're on YouTube, so we're not off-grid.
Do we go on Facebook once in a while, too?
Yep, and guess what? We also work. That is a very common thing. Like, you could just buy a plot of land and never work again. You still have to work. You can have remote jobs, people driving to town. Just because you're off-grid doesn't mean that your bills stop.
You mean once you buy a piece of land, stuff just doesn't magically appear on the property?
Right.
Like you have to pay for all that stuff that you have at the property?
So you can still work. You can remote job. You can have a remote job like I have, or you can go to work a couple days a week. Everybody does different stuff, but you do what works for you.
Yes. And, for the first 3 or 4 years we were here, and we still work, and I still work and take care of some customers I have downstate. But for the first 3 or 4 years that we were here too, we went downstate for 2 or 3 days every single other week, and I would take care of my customers and work. And I'm always looking for opportunities to make a little income. Yeah. Even if it means fixing something for someone, or flipping something, or fixing something up and reselling it. You have to be resourceful. And that leads us to our last real thing about off-grid is just being resourceful, right?
Yep.
And using all your resources to their fullest extent. We bought a sawmill so we could use trees from our property to build a lot of our cabin. We build all of our deck with resources from our property.
Just try to be very self-reliant. Yeah. We grow a lot of our own vegetables in the summertime.
Not nearly enough to keep us sustained for the year, but enough for us to eat off
for the summer.
Yes, very seasonal. Like you eat seasonal and you eat stuff out of your garden.
Mm-hmm.
That's where everybody has to start. You're not going to start out being fully self-sufficient. And what other resources do we use around here? We use water.
Yep.
We use our rainwater system that we collect off of the roofs of all our outbuildings and all of our cabins now.
And in the wintertime, we collect snow. We have it melting over here.
Show them that.
We go outside, we fill these pots with snow, and we melt them on the stove. And then if we're going to drink it or cook with it, we run it through the Berkey. But if we're just showering or washing dishes, we just use it as is. So you can do that too if you're off-grid and you're trying to find a water source. Because not everybody has a well. Some people are extremely blessed to buy a plot of land that maybe has a well on it or has water on it.
Better accessibility.
Yes.
So you can pay a company to come drill you a well.
We haven't had that. We don't have that opportunity here. So this is how we do it. And I think that this is a very off-grid way of water because you don't have a well that's a company dug. You are doing this one. We're doing this 100% on our own.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. We have to take these pots outside 10 to 15 times a day.
Yep.
Each one of them 3 or 4 times. Rotate them, do this, do that. So it's a full-time job. Every time we go outside, or even many times when we don't want to go outside, we have to do it. So, and what else? Go ahead, sorry.
The wood stove. That's how we stay warm in the wintertime. Have a fire going almost all the time because it's quite chilly outside here in northern Michigan. But this is a great way to have your own heat. Some people might do propane or Mr. Buddy heaters.
We have any alternate source of heat in this cabin other than the wood stove?
Well, we do have a Mr. Cool that we installed.
But we don't use that in the winter. That can be used in the spring and fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that runs on solar.
Yep.
Not on the grid. So another level of off-grid is if you don't use chainsaws and splitters and use nothing with gas, works on fuel or gasoline. There is almost no way we could cut all this firewood by hand.
Yeah.
Like if the world ended and we couldn't get gasoline, we would be in trouble.
We'd be able to make it work, but it'd just be a lot more work. But we'd both probably be a lot skinnier.
Yeah, Jay would weigh about $165 rather than $265. So anyway, yeah, full-time heat with our wood stove. That provides us with the heat we need to melt our snow to get water. Keeps those 2 of those pots every day go to a shower for each of us. 1 pot apiece for a shower, and then all the heat in our cabin. And our cabin is toasty a lot of the time. Very toasty.
Yep. And then running water, sometimes people think, is a
non-off-grid thing.
And you can have running water. Again, we are not connected to any public utilities. We get our running water from rainwater most of the time. We have a whole system set up, and you can check out the video there. We'll have a whole lot of videos in the description box below if you want to check out our videos, or if you're checking out our channel for the first time. Be sure to subscribe and check out all of our different videos because we have a whole lot of great videos explaining all this stuff. But running water, you can have running water and be off-grid and be comfortable. You can for dishes, for showers.
And we have a gray water system for the cabin that goes into the ground. That's just for gray water. For all our sewer needs and bathroom needs, we have composting little toilet in here for Jen for the winter, for nighttime, and then we have an outhouse. Mm-hmm. Pretty simple. People have been using outhouses for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and guess what? It all just deteriorates into the earth, and no harm, no foul.
Yep. And with all of our solar, allows us to have the electricity in here, and like we said, we run computers.
Just to work.
We have a refrigerator, a regular refrigerator that you would buy at any hardware store. We have a coffee maker.
Using our coffee maker with our solar that we have paid for up front as our solar equipment is cheaper than buying fuel. We do use a little bit of propane for heating our water in the summertime. We use a little bit of propane for The cook stove, I've had a 100-pound propane tank on the cook stove here in the kitchen, the propane stove, and that's lasted 3 years, like since we installed it. And we use very little gas that way. We use a lot of gasoline in our vehicles around here, chainsaws, tractors, side-by-sides, stuff like that. But, being completely self-reliant and self-efficient is a very almost impossible task unless you cut out everything.
Live a comfortable life and be off-grid, though. That is probably...
End of the story.
End of the story. You don't have to suffer.
Theory or moral of the story.
Yes.
So
you can be comfortable and off-grid.
We hope that you guys adventure into off-grid. We want to know what you think off-grid means, what you would do if you went off-grid. Like, how would you prefer to live an off-grid life? Do you want something like this? Do you want something like the mini cabin? Or would you go really rough and primitive and walk off into the woods?
Yep. Let us know your thoughts, everything. We want to know if you have questions about anything more we could show you or explain. We're always happy to see what you guys want to do and know from and work with you guys, because
that's the whole point of this channel, is we like to help people, and we like to interact. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button. Helps everybody know this is a good video.
Yep. And thanks for hanging out with us during this video, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Yep.
All right. Best wishes, everybody.
Bye.